Juvenile Delinquency, a Sociological Approach to Juvenile Delinquency, Chapter 1. What is juvenile delinquency? Before we can even get started, we need to think about what the terms juvenile and delinquency mean. They have varied uses in common language. Take a moment to think about how you would define each term. Okay, now that you think you know what they are, let's go and get a deeper understanding. Let's talk about a juvenile first. What is a juvenile? In traditional agrarian society, the normative expectations for children and for adults were clearly differentiated. Very young people were considered helpless and dependent upon other family members because they lacked mens rea, or a motive. But children over the age of 7 were seriously disciplined and held accountable for their actions. In the 19th century, industrialization led to formal schooling for children, and an array of laws developed to protect them. Children depend on their parents for a longer period. The creation of adolescence. In the 20th century, the special social status of children was even more clearly defined. In addition, the concept of adolescence was socially created to describe that period of life between childhood and adulthood, and the legal status of juvenile was created. Legally, a juvenile is anyone under the age of majority, the chronological age at which a person is no longer considered a minor and commences adulthood. Federally, the age is 18. These concepts created new social problems in the United States, including juvenile delinquency, which continues as a major social challenge into the 21st century. Now let's tackle delinquency. It is important to note that most juvenile behavior conforms to the normative standards of the larger society, and as such goes largely unnoticed. The authors note that there are literally hundreds of definitions of juvenile delinquency already in existence. However, the sociological perspective and the dramaturgical analysis suggest a summary of all these definitions into 3 categories. The legal definition that emphasizes the act or the norm violating behavior. The role definition focuses on the actor or the juvenile. The societal response definition concentrates on the audience or the members of a group that react to the actor and the act. These definitions are not mutually exclusive, meaning that you can find aspects of each definition and explanations for delinquent behavior. The legal definition. Here the emphasis is almost entirely on the act, the norm violating behavior that is legally classified as juvenile delinquency. The oldest and most familiar description of criminal misconduct by a juvenile is the legal definition, based upon formally codified or written laws. The historical development of a formal juvenile justice system in the United States began in 1899. The Illinois state legislature passed a revolutionary bill regarding juvenile delinquency and authorized the establishment of the first juvenile court. In general, juvenile delinquency is legally defined as any act which, if committed by an adult, would be a crime. These activities and sanctions for them are reflected in the law. Legal definition. States differ in their designated age range for defining juvenile offenders. The minimum age for delinquency is generally 7. The upper limit ranges from 15 to 18 years of age. What is the minimum age of delinquency in your home state? What is the maximum age? Click on Home State. This link will take you to the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention website. Once you are there, read and scroll down to click on your state. Read the information on your state's ages for minimum age and of delinquency and maximum age. By the legal definition, a juvenile delinquent is a minor child who has been found to have violated the penal code. A minor child is an individual who falls under a statutory age limit. As a minor, the individual receives different treatment and consideration under the law. Minors are generally kept separate from adults in trial and corrections. Status offenses are those acts that are illegal only for juveniles. Some examples are truancy or failure to attend school, drinking alcohol, incorrigibility, or beyond the control of the parents, cursing, premarital sex, and running away. Juvenile offenders were viewed and treated much like adult offenders until the 1800s. So I bet you were a status offender in your day, but you probably didn't get caught. Do you think that we should have laws governing these status offenses? Think about this. The largest proportion of juvenile offenses are in fact status offenses. There are definitely problems with this legal definition. First, the guidelines are vague and lend themselves to subject to interpretation. For example, what is ungovernable behavior? Is it not following teachers' instructions one time, or repeatedly not doing what authority figures expect? Another problem is that young chronic criminals use the status offense as their status as a juvenile to milk the system and avoid prosecution. The role definition. In this case, the focus is primarily on the actor, the juvenile whose role performance is identified as delinquent. This definition rejects the notion that causal or occasional delinquent behavior is a staple of a true delinquent. According to this perspective, an individual is a juvenile delinquent if he sustains a pattern of delinquency over time, and if his life and identity are organized around delinquency. In this case, the juvenile must be committed to a deviant lifestyle to be considered delinquent. When considering the role definition, you must look at the social statuses that one holds and the social roles for these statuses. Just to recap from your introductory sociology course, a status is a prestige position of a person in relation to other persons in the social group or society. You acquire social status in two ways. An ascribed status is one that you are born with, for example, your race, your sex, although you can change that, your disability status, etc. You can also achieve status. This is done by accomplishment, for example, your education level, marital status, or employment. What are some factors in society that may affect the achieved statuses of individuals? The difficult part here is that a juvenile is neither a child nor an adult, and the statuses in which he or she should hold may be in conflict. Social roles are the expectations of behavior for certain statuses. The role expectations for juveniles are less clear. This causes some juveniles to limbo between child and adult. There are some roles that are off limits to everyone, though, like criminal and delinquent. These behaviors are punished negatively. According to the role definition, most juvenile offenders are not career offenders, making delinquency a major part of their lives. For most, the deviant role does not apply all the time. The societal response definition. This approach concentrates more on the audience, the members of the social group or society that react to the actor and the act, and finally determine whether or not delinquency has been actually committed and if the offender is a true juvenile delinquent. You can be your own audience, recognizing behavior as violating norms. But who decides what is norm-violating behavior? Well, society does. The media are strongly linked to all three definitions, but especially to this one. The media play a critical role in framing social issues for society. The societal response perspective highlights the fact that the audience labels behavior as appropriate or inappropriate. This is why witnesses don't always agree even though they've seen the same scenario. Social media strengthens the overall influence of media. Take, for instance, the shooting of Michael Brown, an unarmed black teen. There were several eyewitnesses, including the patrol officer Darren Wilson, who shot Brown. Many had different perspectives on how the event transpired, based on the behavior they deemed appropriate or inappropriate. The role of the media in defining delinquency. With the growing usage of the internet and social media sites, we see more information about crime than ever before. What types of crimes tend to grab headlines? You're right, the violent ones. Why is it that when the majority of crimes are nonviolent in nature? The idea is that stereotypical coverage of crime helps reinforce fears and keeps society conforming to the norms. The media also influences what society deems important. If all the news you watch is telling you to be afraid of children playing the knockout game, then you may add that to your hypothetical list of things to be afraid of. The integrated definition. The integrated definition of juvenile delinquency is illegal conduct by a juvenile that reflects a persistent delinquent role and results in society regarding the offender as seriously different. Can you pick out the act, the actor, and the audience in this definition? Good. In order for this definition to work, we must have more conformity in laws and how the deviant label is applied to juveniles. The sociological perspective. Now that we know what juvenile delinquency is, let's go into the sociological perspective. A sociological background is an excellent advantage when studying juvenile delinquency. The concepts and insights which result from being familiar with sociology will lead to a better understanding of juvenile delinquency. A sociological approach to understanding juvenile delinquency will unfold throughout this text. Practical applications of sociological knowledge have been made to countless social issues. Sociology, by definition, is a systematic and scientific study of human behavior, social groups, and society. Sociologists look at the causes, consequences, and treatment of juvenile delinquency. The sociological perspective consistently holds that human behavior is generally an inherent social act that can be traced to powerful forces in the social environment surrounding each actor. Norms. Participating in society is intrinsic to human nature. In order to do so, we must know what the norms are. Norms are referred to as rules, standards, laws, regulations, customs, and traditions. Pretty much the do's and don'ts of human conduct and social interaction. What are some norms that you adhere to? Without norms, we wouldn't know how to interact with each other. Human beings, as social creatures, are forced by various reasons to cooperate with one another. There are two types of norms. Prescriptive norms prescribe certain kinds of behavior as acceptable or desirable. Proscriptive norms prohibit certain kinds of behavior as unacceptable to society. Have you ever played tennis? What are the prescriptive norms of tennis? What are the proscriptive norms? Folkways, mores, and laws. Norms are comprised of folkways, mores, laws, and taboos. Folkways are informal agreements or understandings about what is considered appropriate or inappropriate behavior. For example, not covering your mouth when you sneeze. That's a folkway. It is common courtesy to do so, but you will not be arrested for not complying with the folkway. Mores are more salient or important norms that are perceived as germane to the overall cohesion and survival of society. For example, running a traffic light. Not following the rules of traffic could get you hurt or get someone else hurt or killed. Mores are also important that they are made into laws, which are formal norms that are codified or written down. Laws define their violation as a criminal behavior. Laws prescribe the method and degree of punishment for their violation. Normative behavior, conformity. Every social group operates under some set of fundamental regulations, which each member starts learning from the day of birth. Norms are group-shared expectations for behavior. Individuals are expected to conform or act according to the normative stand established by a group. Norms change depending on the society. For example, not everyone in America is it normal to tell authorities of wrongdoing in the community. The way we learn our norms is through socialization. Socialization is the process by which the effective transmission and internalization of cultural content takes place. One is socialized to norms and social control mechanisms. Deviant behavior or nonconformity. Deviant behavior is conduct that is perceived by others as violating institutionalized expectations that are widely shared and recognized as legitimate in society. Members of society display a range of tolerance towards nonconformity. Nonconformity is a violation of norms. There are several negative aspects to deviant behavior. Personal harm. Violent acts such as murder and assault can hurt people. It threatens norms. When rules are broken, the value of them may be subject to question. Deviance costs. Viable resources are lost when deviance takes place. Deviance also causes social disruption. Fear and confusion in society may result from deviance. The social order may also be threatened. Stability and social order may be affected in a negative way by deviance. And also self-perpetuation. Violating a norm may result in other norms being broken. But there are also positive aspects to deviance. Reaffirmation of norms. A violation of law may cause more support for the law. Social solidarity. A violation can bring people together in common defense. Unity on behalf of the deviant. The deviant's plight may create sympathy leading to a change of law. Contrast effect. A warning to others may result from a deviant act. Safety valve. A deviant act may be viewed as normal and not really too bad. Leadership. Deviant behavior can help promote new social change. Social and cultural change. Deviants may encourage meaningful social and cultural change. Warning devices. Deviants may indicate defects in the social structure or organization of society. Lastly, variety and excitement. Deviance may reflect a needed change and may be viewed as entertaining and interesting to some people. Juvenile delinquency as a social problem. Deviant behavior can become a social problem when it is continuous, chronic, and widespread. Juvenile delinquency is a form of deviant behavior because it involves a violation of norms by children and youth. Citations. All the texts in these slides are quoted from the following: Levy M. 2013, Instructor's Resource Manual and Test Bank for Juvenile Delinquency, A Sociological Approach, Edition 9, Pearson, Boston, Massachusetts, and Thompson and Bynum, 2013, Juvenile Delinquency, A Sociological Approach, 9th edition, Pearson, Boston, Massachusetts.